Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser coming to you from my music corner of the world. But today's more of a show about more of a tribute show, I guess you could say, or a little tribute video. This morning, we learned of a loss in the pro wrestling community, as far as the local scene goes here in the South, in the Southeast. As many of you know, you've seen me do some wrestling videos, whether it's with the North and South Rock and Metal Connection, whether it's with me and John the Music Nut. I'm sure many of you have probably seen uh, my point of view from from ringside as the Rock's coming down to ringside in Birmingham, Alabama, which still blows my mind. But I want to tell you about a little story, a little journey that I took back in around 2012. Um, I at the time came across a local wrestling promotion called GCW. No, not Game Changer Wrestling or not Georgia Championship Wrestling. This one was called Global Championship Wrestling. And one of its main promoters, owners was a guy named Mad Dog Dan Sawyer. And Dan was he kind of, if you're an old school wrestling fan, you know who maybe like Buzz Sawyer was. And, he had a storied career in Georgia Championship Wrestling with a um, very legendary match against Tommy Rich in a all enclosed cage, which was kind of like a precursor to the Hell in a Cell. Um, but they were on a local uh station here, um, like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and I came across it on my when I was flipping through the channels. So I started watching this GCW, and uh, and I got to where I was like, hey, this is great to see a local promotion. I saw, they're just they do shows down the road, about 40, 50 miles or so down the road from us, in a little town called Pell City. They also did shows in North Birmingham in a little community called Palmerdale. And then if anybody high school wanted to do a fundraiser, like Tarrant and Hoover, a couple places did stuff like that. But anyway, so it was 2012, and I actually coaxed my wife into tagging along with me. I was like, I want to go to one of these shows. I just want to experience it, right? My wife is not a wrestling fan. Let me just preface that. Okay. She's okay with the athleticism, but that's about as far as she goes. So anyway, so that night we one of the main I think the main event that night was a fellow by the name of Micah Taylor going up against Mr. O'Hagan. And if my memory serves me correctly, which it does, um, Micah Taylor dropped the belt to Mr. O'Hagan, okay? The GCW Heavyweight Championship belt. And so, you think you're going to get a nice show of respect. Nope. Micah, as I've learned from a guy named the Wicked Nemesis, never trust a heel. And, and Micah Taylor was the heel here at this point. And of course, he turns on and viciously attacks O'Hagan after the match, after he wins. So but that's where I started my journey with GCW. They would have a show about a month later in North Alabama, North Birmingham, and up in Trussville, and it was just at this little bar. It was probably 20, 30 people might have shown up for this thing. But it was at that night that, if you see in this picture here, that I would meet this guy. Uh, he went by the nickname of Hot Ice, Wayne Shell. And this was the kind of guy that you wanted to have at your wrestling shows. This guy was the ultimate local wrestling promotion fan. And That's where I got to meet both him and his sister Shannon and some other folks that night. And I started going more to the shows and eventually got to be a part of the hot ice section, as it was called. And, um, but he was a good kid, a good guy. And his sister's a wonderful, wonderful lady too. Um, Sadly, Hot Ice passed away in 2016, and then he and his sister's father passed away oh about a year or two later, I think. Shannon will have to kind of fix me on that one, but anyway, um, but no, the tribute here is to Micah Taylor. Found out we lost him this morning. He passed away. Don't know what happened. But I don't know if he'd been suffering from any health injury or health illnesses or anything like that. But sad to see that. You always hate to hear that. Just another wrestler gone too soon. Um, I believe he was probably upper 40s, maybe into his 50s. I don't know how old he was. But anyway, I know he served in the armed services. I believe he was a Marine. He was in the WWE developmental for a little while. The GCW did a card in Pelham, Alabama, and he took on the wrestler that went by the name MVP, Montavious something Porter. I can't remember the V part now, but Montavious Porter. Anyway, well, they were in developmental together. Obviously, MVP went on to be in the WWE for a while, go on to the independents, got another run in the WWE around the pandemic time. Um, they had a really good match. The match spilled out all over the ring. I referenced my wrestling buddy here a few times, and she was in the audience. I had a ringside seat, and then she eventually got a ticket to it too, and I wound up sitting with her for most of the show. Actually, I left my ringside seat to go back to sit with her because but anyway, so yeah, so the action spills out to the ring or outside the ring, and they're fighting all over the stands. Well, they were getting pretty close to us too, so it's like whoa, it was getting pretty fun. But yeah, great night. Micah would win that night with as Simon Miller on What Culture Wrestling goes with the most devastating move in all of professional sports entertainment, the surprise roll up. And after the match, they were like, we don't want to see Micah Taylor win over MVP with a roll up now, do we? So they knew that at some point that there would be another they would have a rematch, which I don't know if ever that ever happened. That was back in 2014. But anyway, so Micah would go back and forth between being a heel and a face, but he usually always led this troop called the Underground, and he was a trainer, trained a bunch of different people, and he still made a name for himself in the Southeast Circuit for the most part. Um, yeah, really sad to see that. Micah, I never got to talk to Micah personally. Um, I don't know why. I just never did. I never friended him on social media or anything like that. But my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his closest friends and trainees and it's like the the local wrestling community lost a good one here. So he was a good guy. So there you go. So for any local wrestling fans who happen to be watching this, if you've got some good memories about Micah Taylor, please share them. Um, Actually, I do have a good one, another good one. Um, Shortly after I wound up making the decision to go see GCW live, Brad Armstrong had wrestled a match at GCW, and he was in a 6-man tag, and he and the Armstrong family and Mike apparently went back a good little ways. Well, Brad would pass away like a few days after this match. That night wound up being his last match. So at a tribute show for Brad that GCW did in Palmerdale, one of Brad's like signature moves was like the swinging neck breaker, and Micah took on I think it was Joey Lightning, I think it was, and he used that to win the match. It was like the Russian, yeah, Russian neck breaker or swinging neck breaker, something. It was kind of like the a little bit better than the shake, rattle, and roll, but anyway, not a move you would normally see as a finisher today, but Micah did that as a tribute to Brad. So yeah, Micah was a good guy. So it's sad to see him. I hope he and Hot Ice have reconnected. And as well as Francisco Chiazzo, they ran the circles together for a while too, and he passed away, gosh, earlier this year or last year, I can't remember now. But good ones in the Southeast wrestling circuit. They will definitely be missed. So there you go. So with that said, John Clauser coming to you from a music corner. Share some wrestling thoughts, and like I said, if you saw Micah in person, please share your comments below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good things. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.